Councillors, please stand for the affirmation. Whakatakata te hao ki te uru, whakatakata te hao ki te tonga, kia makina kina ki uta, kia mataratara ki tai, ihi aki ana te akitura, I tio, I huka, I hao, hu, tia hei mori ora. Let us affirm today that we as councillors will work together to serve the citizens of Selwyn District, to always use our gifts of understanding, courage, common sense, wisdom and integrity in all our discussions, dealings and decisions so that we may solve problems effectively. May we always recognise each other's values and opinions, be fair-minded and ready to listen to each other's points of view. In our dealings with each other, let us always be open to the truth of others and ready to seek agreement, slow to take offence, and always prepared to forgive. May we always work to enhance the well-being of the Selwyn districts and its communities. Please be seated. Welcome, councillors, to today's meeting. The purpose of our meeting today is this extraordinary meeting today is to adopt the draft LTP document and the supporting policies that are incorporated in the document. A reminder, this is a consultation document that we've all had input into, and that we must always maintain our open mind for the submissions to be heard on the 13th and 14th of May, with final adoption on the 23rd of May. So now I'll just call for apologies. We have one from Sam Broughton and Grant Miller. Somebody like to move? And we've got Mark and Bob. Any conflicts of interest? Oh, I'll put that, yes. All those in favour, please say aye. Any conflicts of interest? There being none, there's no other reports, is there, David?
There are not, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll go on to item 5, adoption of the revised significance and engagement policy discussion. Stephen Hill, would you take us through that, please?
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor and councillors. The report in front of you really brings back to you for formal adoption, ready for consultation, the revised significance and engagement policy. This has been through a workshop process. You'll be familiar with the policy from previous LTPs. It's had minor and non-substantive edits for clarity, for brevity, and just to ensure that it remains fit for purpose for the purposes of our engagement with the public of Selwyn from this point forward. There's been no substantive change either to the list of strategic assets, so happy to recommend this for adoption for consultation as part of the suite of policies that will be included in the long-term plan consultation process.
Now, Stephen, I believe there's a bit of a typo with some of the questions that are. It's a later report, is it? Okay. Thank you, Steve. Move the adoption of that piece of the report. Sophie and Murray. All those in favour?
Sorry, I actually have some questions.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realise you had some questions.
Which is why I've indicated using the microphone system. The first comment would be on the bottom of page 7. We talk about there being no substantive changes, and then we go on to, let's say, the substantive changes include. It's slightly unfortunate. They're either substantive or they're not. I expect we mean that the changes include. On page 8, we refer to moving the council's policy on development of Māori capacity to an appendix. When I went to the attached appendix, it simply says refer separate policy. That's actually not very helpful, and I hope our consultation documentation doesn't do that, because when I actually found the relevant policy, it's one page. So that the one page could have in fact been inserted there for us to see. And I hope we get submissions on that one page, because our development policy on development of Māori capacity talks solely about dealing with Ngāi Tahu, it's Hapu and Iwi. And yet they are not the only Māori that live in our district. So I think that that's a policy that we also need some work on.
Thank you for your comments, Councillor Alexander. Now we had a mover and a seconder already. I'll put that adoption? All those in favour?
Yep.
Right, and we'll now move on to item 6, the adoption of the draft revenue and finance policy for consultation, and invite Kelvin to the table.
Morning all. So the first of these papers from me is around the adoption of the draft revenue and financing policy. We've taken this through workshop recently. The one really more significant change is an adjustment to the building control activity funded items, moving from a medium high to a high. And that really just reflects our recovery of costs and that. Otherwise, the policy is fairly much unchanged. Any questions on that?
No questions? Moved by Mark and seconded by Jeff. All those in favour, please say aye. Thank you.
Once again, been through workshops on this. Really, this is looking to an introduction of a postponement policy, usually for those that are aged 65 and over, to postpone their rates and the rates being paid upon the change of ownership of the property. Also included is the remission policy for Maori freehold land. Really not too much change there either, so I'll just leave that up to questions for councillors.
Thank you, Kelvin. Do we have any questions or comments, councillors? There being none, we'll have a mover and seconder, please. Moved Murray, seconded Bob. All those in favour, please say aye. Carried. We'll now move on to 8, the draft development contributions policy.
Thank you. So we again at workshop recently, a number of discussions through this, in particular changes to the Eastern Cell and Sewage Scheme catchment being brought into this, which was being the most substantive change within it. Some increases to the hues on large residential properties, and some adjustments to the reserve development contributions. Any questions on that?
Yes, I believe Councillor Hassan has an issue she wants to investigate.
On page 62, section 6, legal implications, it's mentioned that the draft development contribution policy has been reviewed by Council's legal advisors. I'm just wondering, given it is legal advice, where, if any of our ratepayers are wanting to view that advice, can they, to understand the context in which it has been given with regards to development contributions?
Legal advice generally carries with it privilege, so we'd need to be looking through that advice and in discussing that with our legal advisors to discuss what could be released. We've taken the advice on board from Finley in this case and incorporated that into the changes to the policy.
Thank you, Kelvin. Are there any more questions on the draft development contribution policy? There being none, can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved Jeff, seconded Councillor Hassan. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye, thank you. Right, we will now move on to adoption of the supporting information for the Council's long-term plan consultation document. Kelvin, you again.
Thank you. So we're on to page 108, the diligent pack. Really what we've got here is what will support the document, a series of documents behind here, which is the draft LTP. Again, it has been through workshop numerous times in terms of activity areas, and the draft LTP was presented at our last workshop with you. I'll take that as been read, and we'll take questions.
Do we have any questions, councillors? We're happy. We've workshopped this well. Okay, can I have a mover and seconder, please? Sophie and Shane. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Wonderful. Right, so we'll now move on to item 10, the long-term plan consultation document. Stephen Hill, can you come to the table, please? Thank you, gentlemen, for your input.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor and councillors. So the consultation document, as you're aware, is the key document that legislation provides for us to take out to the community to discuss the major proposals that we are asking for feedback and submissions on. And so those are presented along with a range of background and context information for our community to read and inform themselves and to participate in the submission process. So you have the printed form of the document in front of you. It looks like this. I would like to, if you could just tap on a few pages, Greg. Just note that one of the things that you would not have seen clearly from the printed version that was distributed with the agenda is the way that the information around those key decisions is presented across a two-page spread, so that that information is sitting there in front of people in a comprehensive way, so it can all be seen at a glance, and that will be similar in the online presentation of that information. I just want to note that the version that was circulated with the agenda was an initial working draft, and there have been a number of typos that have been picked up. There was a duplicate question in the submission form that has been corrected, and we're happy that the document is in a format ready to be released for public consultation. The timeline is that public consultation opens on the 29th and remains open to the 30th of April. And there's an outline in the report of the consultation program that's proposed, which is a combination of printed material, quite a strongly active digital engagement program through our Engagement HQ platform, as well as using social media. There'll be advertising in local newspapers, including all of the major local newsletters that are circulated within the district, and the Selwyn Times as well. So there's a lot of effort going into raising people's awareness of the consultation process, and then pointing them to the ways that they can participate in that process, either online or through picking up a copy of the report or the printed submission forms at our council offices and libraries and service centres. And then that will feed into the hearings and deliberations process, which follows through the rest of the timeline. So happy to take any queries at this stage.
Let's make a quick comment about the audit process. So you appreciate this document and the supporting information is all subject to audit. That audit is complete. The auditors are just going through their final internal ticking off processes, and will issue the audit opinion formally today. So it's not actually in my hand, but they're happy for you to adopt the document today. That's just worth recording what the audit opinion says, because it's an important statement. It says that the consultation document fairly represents the matters proposed for inclusion in the long-term plan. It explains the choices available to the council and the community and the consequences of those choices. And it also provides assurance that the information and assumptions underlying the document are reasonable. So that's assurance to you and assurance to the community that this is a suitable document for the consultation process. The opinion does include an emphasis and matter paragraph, which is in relation to the uncertainty created by the government's intended reform of the Three Waters Service. That's a standard cross-sector emphasis because of that uncertainty, and not something within the council's control.
Thank you, gentlemen. So, do we have a mover and a seconder for this? Mark, you have a comment?
Yeah, I was just going to ask when the consultation document is going to be available. I know consultation starts on the 29th. Is it like to be available before then? Because some of us have got committee meetings excuse me, that occur before the 29th, that it would be useful if they were available to get them out earlier.
Because of the tight time frame, it's unlikely we will have the full printed copies available before the 29th, but we could print off a limited number of documents in-house if that's useful. So if you contact me, I'm happy to do that. But there will be an electronic copy of the document up on our council website on the long-term plan page from later today or tomorrow. So now this is in the public arena.
Thank you, Sophie.
I think Murray was before me.
Yep, thanks, Malcolm. Mark, assuming you'd move that, I'm happy to second the adoption. Just a word from the Audit and Risk Committee to everyone involved. Well done in getting that opinion from Audit New Zealand and the hot review process. Greg and Stephen. So yeah, congratulations and good document. Thank you.
Now, Sophie.
Thank you. Kia ora, Stephen. Thank you very much. I just want to say I love how it's laid out. It's very easy to read, and you know the way it's set out in terms of the implications on rates and how much is coming from DCs and all that sort of thing. It's really helpful. The only question I wanted to ask was, has the PDF or anything like that been run through a screen reader for anybody who can't necessarily read it in print? Because sometimes screen readers sort of bounce all over the place, and I was wondering if they've been checked.
We haven't done that check yet. We generally do, and we'll try and make sure that that's completed before the 29th.
Shane.
Tēnā kōrua, thank you very much for the report, and Stephen, all of the work that's gone into getting this through to us today in the draft form. Page 439 under cultural well-being. Selwyn is connected and inclusive community. Mana whenua and tangata whenua thrive. We create and volunteer together. Everyone has a place to call home. How are we engaging with mana whenua and tangata whenua respectively?
I'll perhaps get David to talk about the engagement with Te Tamutu Runanga. It's probably the primary iwi engagement activity, other than the accessibility and availability of the documents to all of our stakeholders and community.
The question, the reason I'm asking is it's so that we as a council understand that we have a requirement under the Local Government Act parts 2 and 6 to consult not only mana whenua but all Māori living within the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. David.
Look, just a final comment, and although this may have been a short meeting, we need to acknowledge that it's the culmination of months and months of work from staff, from elected members, and really appreciate the effort that's gone into shaping what really is the look of Selwyn over the next 10 years in terms of our activities, our projects, and our resource requirements. So sincere thanks to everybody that has been involved, and really looking forward to receiving submissions on our proposal and hearings and deliberations, which will kick off on the 13th of May, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, David. I'd also like to emphasise those comments about the lot of hard work that's gone into getting us where we are today. And yes, those new councillors around the table, this is your first LTP, and they're aware of the background work that goes in and the huge amount of work that's been put in by our staff for a long time to get us to where we are. And I will also like to congratulate you on the layout as Sophie has done. It's certainly very accessible and easy to read. Now, can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Jenny and Sophie. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Consider that carried. I believe we have finished the business for the end of the extraordinary council meeting, and I will now close the meeting. Thank you for your attendance.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, councillors.